Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. And today we have a full sneak peek of the upcoming VR game Behemoth. Not only do I have about 15 minutes of never before seen footage, but I can also answer all of your questions. I've pretty much drilled the team at Skydance. They were kind enough to give me a nice demo of this game and answer all of my questions. So I'm just going to relay that information to you, and as you can tell, I'm definitely excited for this one. Now, I will break this video apart into different segments, so there are, of course, links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but let's just get right into that basic information. Behemoth is coming this fall to all major VR platforms, including the Quest 2, Quest 3, PlayStation VR2, and PSVR. The game will be $39.99 on all platforms, and while its rating is still pending, it's most likely going to be mature. Behemoth is developed by Skydance Games, the same studio that gave us the Saints and Sinners series, and some of that same fantastic combat has been added into their newest game, but there's also plenty of new mechanics. But this right here is just the basic information. I know you guys are looking for a lot more than that. So let's start with some technical stuff, then move into campaign information, and then I'll show you that new footage and I'll narrate throughout it. The gameplay I'm going to show off today comes from the PlayStation VR2 version, and it was captured at 4K at 30 frames per second. So if the frame rate doesn't look great to you, you can go ahead and ignore that, because the game does run at 90 frames per second, and thanks to eye-tracked foveated rendering, it's going to look very close to a PC running on ultra settings. The game also utilizes head haptics and the adaptive triggers, so PlayStation VR2 gamers can rejoice. Now for PSVR gamers, whatever your system can handle, this game will run at, and you can tweak the settings to whatever you like, either highest fidelity or best frame rate. Now obviously we'll see some downgrades on the Meta Quest versions, but they are still targeting 90 frames per second on the Quest 3 and 72 for the Quest 2. Now I'm yet to see any Quest footage, but I'm told it does look good, but honestly, what do you expect Skydance to say? Our game looks like crap on the Quest. Now, I trust them, they did a good job on Saints and Sinners, it looks fairly good. Obviously, they said there's going to be some effects like lighting that's missing. You're going to have probably lower resolution textures. But overall, they said, especially on the Quest 3, the game looks really good. We'll see. Now, in terms of the game's single-player campaign, Skydance is expecting an average completion time of 12 hours. You'll play as a cursed character named Ren, who's been awakened near death and unable to remember his past, but a mysterious figure has given him the quest of ridding this forsaken land of multiple behemoth creatures. You'll have an array of different weapons at your disposal, supernatural powers, and a grappling hook that's used for much more than just traversal. Now, the campaign has been described to me as mostly linear. There are areas where you can backtrack, look for certain things you may have missed, but for the most part, you're on a specific path. There's also some cool areas where you can open up like an arena, you ring a gong, enemies will just keep coming, and that's if you just want to take a detour and just fight it out for a while. So overall, that's a nice change of pace. I don't know how I feel about a completely linear storyline after playing Saints and Sinners, which gave you a bunch of options, but we'll see how it feels. Now, this is not an RPG, it's being described as an action-adventure title, but you will grow in power as you defeat more and more behemoths, and you will eventually find hero weapons that can also be leveled up. The game also features a bit of crafting, but this is definitely not as robust as Saints and Sinners, and it's more about putting basic things together like healing potions. Now that right there should answer the vast majority of questions you may have. I know I didn't get into the combat yet, but I'm going to narrate roughly 10 minutes of brand new footage, so we'll answer most of your questions there. Now, if anything goes unanswered, drop it down in the comments, so I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. If I have the answer, I'll definitely answer you. Additionally, I just want to hear your thoughts on this game. How does it look? You're going to hear my thoughts throughout this, so let's just move into that right now. So this right here, we're opening into those forsaken lands that I spoke about. And I will say the game actually reminds me a lot of Horizon Call of the Mountain aesthetically. That's the feel I got, but obviously it's a darker theme. Now these are some of the other dudes in the area who are afflicted with the same curse as you. They're more like cultists, and I don't know if they have the same amnesia as you. Your typical, hey, let's figure out how a weapon works and actual stuff. Now, as you see, you do have superhuman strength, but we'll show that off more later in the game. Very much Saints and Sinners when it comes to weapons, but if you see right here, this is a hero weapon. Average weapons in the game do not do this. They don't fly back to you. But when you unlock these magic hero weapons, yeah, you gain abilities like this. So, very cool. We're kind of getting used to that mechanic. Now, more of the Forsaken Lands here. Obviously, look at it. It's a great looking game. And again, this is on the PlayStation VR2. These are save points that you'll find, and they put them like everywhere. They said one of the feedback that they got for Saints and Sinners is not enough ability to save. So you'll find those beacons everywhere, and that's how you save. Still aesthetically pleasing. Yay. Now, if you're scared about spoilers, don't worry. I'm definitely going to skip certain parts. Skydance even asked me, don't show this or that, because we don't want people to, see too much. But again, typical VR mechanics, but they said they did a lot of work here to make this feel right. It looks right, but game developers or people making those scenes kind of, know how to make it look as good as possible, but it looks like it feels right. So more traversal stuff right there. That's your grappling hook. Grappling hooks are fantastic in VR. Again, they talked about they did a lot of work there. And I talked about the game is linear, but you'll see like there are sometimes different paths to get to where you got to go. That's why I said it's not fully linear. And again, they just really want to show off that like, hey, grappling hooks are awesome and they feel good. And, there's multiple different ways to utilize that grappling hook. You can use it to jump straight down. You can use it to get back up. And later we'll show off you could also use it in combat. And more aesthetically pleasing stuff. I'm hoping it gives that sensation like when you're over a cliff. It kind of gives me a little bit of that vertigo. Makes me go, oh, what's going on? I always look for that in my VR games. It's lost on me a lot these days. I don't feel it as much unless a game is like super beautiful, super realistic. It's the only time I really notice it. Again, so this is a mechanic, this hand over hand pull and then tug. It's actually a game mechanic that wasn't shown just to look cool. That's something you have to do to actually pull and utilize your super strength. Now, this is an in-game character. They said this was changed just for the demo, so this is not how you'd actually see the character in game. Hunting a behemoth is kind of like they took a bunch of slices of different parts of the game. Right here, this would be a merchant, I assume. You'll find what you need in your inventory. This is not exactly how it would happen in the game itself. They just took a bunch of vertical slices to kind of show us everything that's possible. Crafting right here. I was talking about crafting. It's not excessive. Again, not Saints and Sinners, but, it's, everything you need will pop up. If you have the materials, you put them together, you shake, boom. That's a good There you go, you made yourself a little health potion. Your standard climbing mechanics. Nothing extremely, revolutionary here just yet, but if it's all done right, that's all we need. That's more than good enough. I talked about the weapons. It is physics-based. Very, very similar to Saints and Sinners. Your weapons have weight. They're meant to feel good. But again, you're not just a regular Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo? Yeah, sure. You're not a regular dude. You are afflicted with this curse, which gives you, super strength. And I'm sure they'll show more of that later on. You want to know how I'm sure? I've seen this. And that is an effect that I just love. Let me tell you, if my weapons don't touch each other... That's part of the curse right there. If my weapons don't touch each other in a VR game, I am immediately like, what's the opposite of immersed? Pulled out? I don't know. But look how sick that is. Like, look at that, curse creeping up on you. Again, you're not just floating hands, so I'm sure some people will be happy about that. Let's use some of this super strength right here. Hadouken! All right, and these are some of the bad guys. Again, the frame rate dipped there a little bit, but they said don't worry about that. It's just the way they recorded it. I'm trusting them. I believe them. Let's go on. Okay, so there are parrying and some new mechanics compared to Saints and Sinners. These aren't just zombies. These are guys that can hit hard and fight back. Boom, right there. We use the grappling hook for some dudes. Superhuman strength. We just threw a guy. That blue strike said you did a successful parry, so you have an opportunity to kind of toss the guy or get a critical strike. And basically, you're just going to go... Ooh, nice decapitation. I'm sure you guys want to know if that existed. So, it's going to be pretty basic. You're going to swing against, you know, their swing. And that'll give you the option there. Notice the axe didn't come back, but you chopped the guy in half, so I don't care. If you wanted to farm arrows, you actually could. Like, just let guys keep shooting your shield and then pull the arrows out. So, that's a cool option. Now, I don't see any guys fighting two at a time, but I believe it does happen. It's a bit lame if they're just like, hey, Steve, you get him. And then if you die, I'll go next. Don't want to fight. Yeah, give me that. Give me, see, the pulling mechanic that I was talking about. Obviously, listen, most of the game's going to be combat, and the combat is solid. Like, you felt that. That was chunky, right? It felt like it stuck in, just like Saints and Sinners. Now there, you pull the guy, boom. I thought they were going to pull the tree onto him, which is something you can do. But you can also kill yourself by doing that. You can also block arrows. Again, it's all physics-based. So it's not just, you know, oh, it's an arrow and you don't have a chance. I don't know how this guy doesn't hear him, but... knocked his helmet right off. So, obviously, the best part of it, the combat is looking solid. And that's why I said I'm not going to look at combat. Wait till we get the video. Oh yeah, good parry. Yeah, there's also a dodging mechanic too, which you may have seen. You did a nice dodge backwards. Yeah, and when you stun them, you have that good opportunity to grab them. That was vicious, and he's got tar for blood. I'm feeling this. You guys into this? Let me know in the comments. If you're thinking this is looking dull, well, forget you. If you're thinking it's looking awesome, I want to hear about it. I want to hear if you think it's dull too. I mean, listen, to each their own. Did you see he got a nice little swipe? He didn't get deep, and he just made a dash across them. Nice little, Ooh! Oh my god, could you imagine throwing an axe that hard? I'm into this. I'm really zoning out right here. I know I've watched this before, but like the first time, you know, like the first time you watch things, it's different. When you come back and watch them a few more times, you go into more detail. Here it is. Bam! Now that, I don't know why the throwing of the tree kind of somehow reminds me of like God of War. You have environmental stuff that you can use, but now we have a key. Any background noise is being contributed by Cosmo the dog. If you hear it, I apologize, but he's roaming around in the back and he's doing whatever he wants. Now that guy obviously thinks he's a badass, so he's going to be a mini boss. I mean, look at that superhero entrance. So bad on the knees. But yeah, I don't know how we're going to take this guy down, but there's probably some little trick to take this guy down. Maybe you just cower in fear. You dodge. If you could dodge a wrench, you can... Alright, there you go. Got yourself a weapon. So, you know, it looks like you're going to be breaking through this guy's armor over time, but can't say for sure. They just clipped a Morte. Oh, and that was great. Like how he's just like, please, no, don't. Oh, I'm dead. Blah.
Outsider! No matter what hole you crawl into, we will find you.
Let's see what else we got going.
Flesh and eat it raw.
We have about 5 more minutes left in this clip, but I'm probably going to cut it short. You see Roman in the background there is the first behemoth that we're going to see. And let me tell you, what an introduction. Hi. Yeah, I would jump backwards. Now, your goal in the game is to take down these behemoths, and there's not just one, there's a lot of them. And obviously there's going to be tricks to take them all out. I won't be showing you any of them. But he's like a roaming giant. He looked a little bit like an elephant there. A little bit more of the environments. Obviously, Forsaken land, snow covered. Not much. No animals. Yada yada. Don't know what that is, but they're worshipping it. Umo Gui Gui Fai Di Tao. Umo Gui Gui Fai Di Tao. If you know what that is, I'd love to hear it in the comments. I've only come across one person who's ever responded when I did that, and they knew exactly, well, 2 people knew exactly what it was. And I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because it's not English. And there's our Behemoth popping out of the snow. Once we see him, I'm going to cut this video, guys. So we're not going to go through the Behemoth fight because it's a spoiler. And I'm not spoiling things. Oh, yeah, that's Steve the Behemoth. He's part turtle, part elephant, part ball and chain. Here it comes. Oh, we missed. Give us the slam. Oh, there it is. The red is unblocked. One of these is that. And that's where we're cutting it. And that was today's video. Again, if you guys have any questions, please drop them in the comments. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And since this isn't my normal type of video, if you have any additional feedback, I'd love to hear it down in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on next time.